Hey everybody, and welcome back to part 2 of every Soulsborne boss ranked best to worst. So, this will be 11 to 20, so the next 10, and in this one, we're going to be continuously counting down, unlike in the last one where we started with 10 and worked our way up to give you, some suspense.
Yeah, so we're coming in hot with the best of this list, first off. I mean, these ones are pretty close together, actually.
Yeah.
But
we're still in the good bosses range.
Yeah, we're going to be in the good bosses range until about 30. Maybe.
Yeah, ish. But obviously these ones are generally not enough to be in the top 10, but these are still really good bosses and we enjoy them a lot. And obviously we're going to tell you why we enjoy these. And at this point it's kind of hard to tell you why we slightly don't enjoy these quite as much as the first ones.
Yeah, now the brackets are sort of closer at this point. It's very small details. Most of the time it's just going to be a case of we like it more just because we do.
Yeah.
Because
maybe these bosses are overall a little bit easier or not quite as interesting.
Yeah, but we think these bosses still deserve to be high up on the list anyway.
Yeah, for sure.
The margins are definitely closing on why one boss is better than the other the lower we get in this list.
Anyway, let's just get on with it and we'll start with number 11.
Okay, so number 11, we're coming in with the Sanctuary Guardian from the Artorias of the Abyss DLC in Dark Souls 1.
Yeah, just missed the top 10 spot. But, I mean, frankly, this boss is fantastic. So it's finally, or not finally, but it is one of the really good non-humanoid boss fights in the Souls series.
Yeah, it's a very aggressive boss as well. It's a Manticore, is that what they're called?
Yeah.
Is it
or
a Manticore?
Chimera.
It's probably a Chimera. I think Manticore has actual arms.
I think Manticore might be specifically the one it is, but...
I think Manticore might just be a Yu-Gi-Oh card.
Probably.
But anyway, it's a Chimera of some descript.
Yeah.
Lion head, snakes. It's a scorpion tail.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But basically, it's a really good fight. Speaking of the tail, you can cut it and get a special weapon. It's not a very good weapon, but it's just nice to have the option.
It's a cool weapon. It's just one of the things that just add to the nuance of why this boss is good.
It's a poison whip.
So, not only this, the boss is... You can't just get behind it and attack it like other bosses, because this thing will mule kick you. You need to be specifically where you come in from it.
As well as the tail whip attack that it does will almost always poison you as well.
Yeah,
so you got to weigh up whether you want to go in behind it or not.
I mean, not only that, the arena itself is really cool because it's got the water puddle. While its lightning attacks will do like a sort of little AoE, so you need to make sure you're out of that or else you're going to get hit.
Yeah, it was a nice thing that they didn't take advantage of in any other game from my memory anyway. They didn't give a boss an AoE based on where the attack landed in the arena. Because of course you can fight it on the little dirt slope and it won't have its AoEs, but then you're fighting this really aggressive boss there.
No, I mean, I remember the first time I came to fight the Sanctuary Guardian and I thought it was fucking nigh on impossible. I was like, how...
really fun.
How am I meant to do
this?
It
has really good attacks. It has like this melee flurry of like 4 or 5 attacks that it chases you if you roll backwards. It's really cool. Yeah. As well as the really interesting part to this boss is that once you beat it, and then once you beat Artorias, or number 7 spot from the last video, once you beat Artorias, you can come back and you can fight 2 of it. Now they're slightly weaker than the actual boss, yes, but there's 2 of them, they have all the same attacks as the boss, and it's probably one of the biggest, it's the biggest challenge in Dark Souls 1 in my eyes is the 2 Sanctuary Guardians.
Yeah, I mean, arguably it's probably more difficult than maybe Ava.
I think it's more difficult than Kos.
Okay, so number 12 is Gascoigne.
Yep, Gascoigne he's like the 2nd boss in Bloodborne. He's a really good boss.
Thing is though, where you fight Gascoigne, you could potentially be the first boss in the game, and I mean to new players that's just ridiculously challenging. I mean some people might not even have leveled up by the time they get to fight him. And in addition to that, because he is such a challenging boss, and even experienced players won't have many levels behind them, he's always going to be like a tough fight in some respects. Which is... Until
you just get really pro at him, I guess. But
yeah.
He's a good challenging boss.
We like the fact that he's like a multiform boss, he has cool lore behind him, you get Gascoigne's armour off him as well.
Of course, and the lore behind him leads to his weakness, the music box, because he goes mad. The music box reminds him of his wife and his daughter, and then he like has a little like mind battle with himself, and that lets you take advantage of him and shit like that. It's really cool, and that's all to do with his lore that gives you that. So it builds on the atmosphere of the fight, it builds on his character as not only just an enemy to kill as well.
It helps out newer players as well if they need it, but it's not abusable because it can only work a few times. So overall I think it was a really, really well designed fight. However, the reason that it wasn't actually a top 10 boss was simply because there's just so much fucking clutter in the area. More often than not I've died because of getting stuck behind clutter than actually because
behind
of
like
the boss.
Gravestones or a fucking tree or some shit like that, or you've got your back to a gravestone, there's a tree behind it, but now the camera is like in the middle of your chest and you can't see a fucking thing.
Yeah, but aside from
other than that, yeah, Gascoigne's really good. If you take him up to the top of the staircase, there isn't a single thing wrong with the boss. Okay, so number 13 is the Dark Lurker from the Pilgrims of the Dark Covenant in Dark Souls 2.
Yeah, so we're going to point out that, in our opinion, this is one of the few really good bosses of Dark Souls 2.
It's one of the bosses that stands out in Dark Souls 2's core main game.
Yeah.
Like, other than Dark Lurker, there's not many good bosses.
I mean, sadly, we think that this should probably have been the final boss. You know, just called it Nishandra, blah blah. Just made Nishandra
Yeah,
look
because
like
it's a
Dark Lurker.
really, really good fight, and I don't know why they hid it behind an optional Covenant route, because
Yeah.
it is the best boss fight in the core game.
Yeah, definitely. And not only that, it's a multi-form boss, or rather, like,
It's a stage 1, stage 2 boss, and
Yeah.
it's done really well, being that stage 1 you only fight one of them. It allows you to get used to all his attacks and stuff like that, and then stage 2, when it splits and the difficulty ramps up because now you have to fight two of them at the same time, but it doesn't feel unfair because of the way the boss is designed.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
It'll rarely spam the same attack at you twice, so basically what it's got, you've got this thing where, okay, you know how this attack works, you know how that attack works, but then you have to then deal with, okay, this one's using that attack, this one's using this attack, I need to change my strategy in accordance to deal with both of them.
Yeah.
And I think that that's really interesting, and very few Souls bosses really give you that sort of...
Yeah, and I mean, Dark Lurker itself does have a really good mix of attacks as well. It has different ranged attacks. It does only have like the one set of melee attacks.
Yeah.
But like, it's not that the boss is especially challenging, because it's not that difficult even when there's two of them. It's just really fun.
Yeah.
It's like you pick your attacks very carefully, and you get rewarded for picking those attacks very carefully because the boss doesn't kill you when two of them like gang up on you or anything like that. So it's just a really rewarding fight, even though it isn't especially difficult.
Yeah.
And of course, if you do beat Dark Lurker, you do get rank 3 in its Covenant. It does let you get Climax, so it's not from the boss specifically, but you do have to beat the boss to get it. So we're going to include it. And Climax is kind of the best hex in Dark Souls 2.
Yeah.
If what you want to do is one shot somebody for just because you can,
Yeah.
use
Anyway,
Climax.
Number 13, Dark Lurker.
Very good boss.
Okay, so here we are for number 14, and it's Ava, the King's Pet.
Yep, from the third Dark Souls 2 DLC.
Yeah, so we really like this for pretty much the same reason as Sanctuary Guardian almost. It's just a really aggressive, fun, non-humanoid boss, and for that reason it stands out in Dark Souls 2 because of all the humanoid bosses that are in it.
Yeah, and all the bosses that aren't really fun or aggressive.
Yeah. Now, it doesn't feel unfair as fuck like Luden's Allen, which is good, even though it's essentially just that, but because it doesn't feel unfair, that's why it's so high up. It's just a really good fight, and it stands out against a lot of different things.
Yeah, the amount of attacks that this boss has, as well as its damage, is pretty good as well. Like, it's not bullshit broken damage, although the Homing Crystal Soul Mass damage, if all 5 hit you, then you better hope you've got something that will save you, because that's quite a bit of damage.
Yeah.
But other than that, it's just a really fun fight, and of course there is the, very technically, you can beat him when he's invisible.
I mean, don't know how fucking easy you're going to be able to do that, but you can do it.
Because of course the first time, the first time you're meant to meet him, he's meant to be invisible, because he's presented to you right at the beginning of the DLC. It's an invisible boss, and then you later find out him to make him visible so you can fight him. But people have beaten him when he's in the invisible stage. There's just very few videos of it online right now.
Yeah, but it is possible.
Really good non-humanoid boss in Dark Souls 2.
Okay, so boss 15, and it's Mark Lagares. So honestly, there isn't like a whole much that we can say about him, because it's just we like him and think he's really good and he's tough, and
the standard of bosses in Bloodborne for the most part is really good compared to the other games, and once again they're setting a precedent with Logarius, which is he's an interesting boss. He's really cool.
Yeah, now I want to see if anyone else has noticed that Logarius seems to be a combination of Alan, Nishandra and Gwyn, the N3 bosses from the other Souls games.
He has aspects of them, he's not a combination of them.
Aspects of them, because he looks like Gwyn, he has what looks very close like Alan's sword, and he also has a scythe like Nishandra does.
He also has the Vapor Trails that Alan has as well when he goes stage.
And it's like a sort of long, skirty thing as well. There's lots of parallels, I think, and I mean it has to be on purpose. Surely.
I get like feelings of fighting Alan when I fight Logarius, especially when he's using the sword and he's doing like the really fast it's like he uses like air dashing attacks, but Alan's were just ground dashes. But I still get Alan vibes from fighting him.
But I mean, regardless, it has a cool mix of arcane attacks, like lots of different ones, like the big skull, the multi skulls, like the fucking AoE.
You sense a theme of skulls here.
Yeah.
And he also has one non-skull magic attack where he puts his sword in the ground and it like rains little swords. Which, by the way, if you didn't know, you can stop that by shooting the sword with your hunter's pistol.
Yeah.
So pro tip. But he's just a really fun boss. He's got a couple of stages to him, where stage 2 he becomes faster, he does more damage. His sword gets like the little cut trails behind it, where like the slash explodes a little bit afterwards and deals more damage if you're not paying attention. It's just a really fun fight, and he's a good challenge.
Yeah, definitely.
But I think it's a good way to end Cainhurst Castle anyway. Okay, so coming in at number 16.
Yet another Bloodborne boss.
Yet another Bloodborne boss. And it's Abritus, Daughter of the Cosmos.
Yeah, so Abritus was
Undeniably. No, I don't think it's arguable. Undeniably, probably like the hardest Bloodborne boss that's in the vanilla game. It's DLC. Like, I think we can all agree that Abritus probably gave us the most trouble out of every boss that's in Bloodborne, just because of it's so unpredictable, and it's like the amount of limbs when it swings. It's tough to tell which one is the attack, the one you need to dodge. But it's just a really fun boss fight. She does have her bullshit, like the flying headbutt into a call beyond or whatever the fuck it is. That stuff needs to go, because that's just an unavoidable 100% TKO.
Like, if you dodge it, you don't even know how you dodged it, you don't know.
No, when... I've dodged it once. Can I do it again? Can I? Fuck.
It's just, I don't... Who thought that was okay, let's be honest here.
I'm more likely to send a rocket to the moon than I am to dodge that fucking combo again.
And that's pretty much why Abritus is...
I should put the lottery on. I mean, I did dodge that attack once.
Oh, yes.
Might be lucky.
But yeah, it's thankfully Abritus is an optional boss, so you're not fucking tearing your hair out to progress the game. But to be fair, there's a lot of optional bosses in the main game for Bloodborne.
Yeah, there's only like 7 obligatory.
Which is, to be fair, that's something I quite like about it. But no, I mean, it was weirdly fast as well, given its size. But overall, I think Abritus is just because of how tough it is, and it's got a really cool design, and that's pretty much why it's 16
and stage 2 as well, where when she does use a call beyond stuff like that, it's interesting because she gets this like little arcane star haze orb thing around her that ticks away at your health as you're standing inside it. It's kind of annoying, yes, but it's just something that you don't really see.
And it means that you need to change up the way you actually fight again, so because it means that you need to constantly pull back, which puts you, I mean, it might not put you directly in range for call beyond, but because it's ticking down your health, you need to retreat,
the best way,
it's got the other attacks.
The best way we found to beat Abritus is, of course, just staying right on her, and just hitting her head, and that sort of throws that out the window because eventually you can't just stay right on her anymore. So it's interesting how they've like figured out ways to counter the typical tactic of beating the boss in Bloodborne, and Abritus is just another testament to that.
Yeah. So yeah, Abritus, good boss. So 17, we've got the Burnt Ivory King. So obviously he was going to be relatively high on the list.
Yeah, it's a really good boss fight from Dark Souls 2, and it's a boss fight that would only work in Dark Souls 2, maybe Demon Souls, but it would only work in Dark Souls 2. And the reason why it's like that is because there's a lot of healing in Dark Souls 2. So the fight before the Burnt Ivory King, where you're grinding through his grunts,
which you have to do every time.
Yeah, which you got to do every time. That doesn't feel as bad because of all the healing that you have, so it feels more like a trial until you get to the boss where you got to ration out your heals. Obviously this applies to like players who sit like right in the middle. If you're the best player, you won't get much from the boss. If you're the worst player, you'll just fucking hate it because you just can't get to the boss.
Yeah.
But if you're right in the middle where the boss is going to challenge you, it's going to use a good amount of your healing supplies getting to the boss, and then the boss fight itself is going to be a good challenge. You're going to get a lot out of that boss fight, and we think that's why a lot of people hold the Burnt Ivory King in such high regard.
Because most people fit into that.
Yeah, most people fit into like that. Not everybody's the best player, obviously. We don't think we're particularly amazing players,
but I think that we're just good enough that we come out of this category to the point where it's not so much of a challenge, but we can definitely appreciate the boss for what it is.
Yeah, like first time fighting that boss was a lot of fun, as well as like the little design around it where there's all these gates where his grunts come through, and you're given one White Knight to start with. Now you can go get the rest of these White Knights, you can collect up to 4 of them, even though there's only 3 gates. So what happens is if you close all 3, you've got a spare little companion to help you fight the boss, take up some of the aggro. It's kind of cool. It's a nice little reward for going through a massive grind to like have a little bit of respite from the boss being like on your face constantly.
Yeah.
Or you can choose to go the exact opposite, not get any, and you can fight the boss as his grunts still spawn in during the battle as well. It's like you've got a lot of option with the Ivory King and how you want to do it. So if you want more difficulty, you can get more difficulty.
Yeah, plus like the actual arena and the whole thing itself is a pretty decent spectacle.
Oh yeah, see when that Oblivion gate first came up, holy shit.
But I mean, it's definitely made the best out of Dark Souls 2 graphics engine, I think.
So. Oh, and the feeling you get when you like drop in with your 4 white Lois Knights, and then it's like an actual army versus army sort of deal. It doesn't feel like, because you're not fighting them yourself, because the Lois Knights take the aggro, so it doesn't feel like you have to kill 40, 50 fucking charred Lois Knights to get to the boss. They actually do help you, they take some of the aggro, and it does feel like a little group of guys trying to take down the boss, and it's really fun. Yeah. It's a cool little spin to put on a boss fight for a change.
So I mean, overall really well designed, but I think personally for me the reason why it wasn't as high up is because I don't think that the actual Ivory King himself is particularly difficult. So like, I've never had an issue. He's fun. He's definitely very fun, but I just don't think he's quite challenging enough to be up a bit higher. But
he fucking one-shots you in NG +7 if you're not careful.
Most things do though.
I mean, yeah, fucking regular enemies do.
But yeah, Burnt Ivory King, overall, really good boss.
Yeah, really good boss.
Right, so boss number 18, and it's Ilana, the Squalid Queen.
Now, as far as we're aware, not many people hold Ilana with the highest regard, but I actually really like Ilana.
Yeah, a lot of people think that she's an Ashandra ripoff, even though she plays nothing like an Ashandra.
And I mean, she is Nashandra's sister by lore, so wouldn't they be somewhat similar? But anyway, she's a really good boss. If you don't use the boss kill setup, of course, because that's the rule with every Dark Souls 2 boss, don't forget.
Yeah.
But without that, she's actually a pretty difficult boss because she's got some really nice damage. She's got some really cool attacks where she like teleport behind you. She's got melee attacks with her axe as well as ranged attacks, which like dark magic. She's got fire-based ranged attacks as well.
Yeah, it's nice when bosses have two elemental attacks, so it means that you need to sort of make a like
like you can't just stack fire defense against like
the
fucking the what do you call it, centipede demon or whatever, smelter demon or whatever. But it's really cool, as well as she does have this little thing in her boss fight where she summons mobs. We all know one of them is the giant chocolateville stat, which, I mean, it's kind of cool. You can sort of just ignore them and just beat up Ilana though.
The thing is, though, obviously in later new games you need to
deal with Velstat because she can summon 2 of them.
I didn't even know that was possible.
It's happened to someone. It has to.
Unlucky.
I know. She also summons little skeletons. The thing I like about these is that they're affected by alluring skulls, which means that she's literally just summoned the ones that are actually in the game. They don't have any special properties because, like, she summoned them. It's just like an extra distraction. But there's one really good one, which is really rare, where she'll summon the tiny little pigs from Majula.
Yeah. The
tiny, tiny little pigs. And these are incredibly rare. We spent 4 or 5 hours fighting her in New Game Plus 7 at one point, and we only seen them once. So if you see that, it's really cool. It's like seeing a Vagrant in Dark Souls 1. Some people still haven't seen the Vagrant in Dark Souls 1. Some people still haven't seen the pigs from Ilana.
Yeah.
But it's just really cool.
But yeah, I think overall, I think Ilana's relatively well designed. Just overall, just a good fun boss.
Yeah, good, challenging, fun boss.
Right,
okay, so number 19, Moon Presence.
Now, Moon Presence...
Yet another Bloodborne boss.
Now, it has some of the fucking coolest designs of any of the bosses in any of the Souls games.
It's just so insane.
So tentacly and whirly and wiggly.
It's all red and shit. It just flails at you. Every attack is flailing everything at you. It's really cool. It's really vicious and quite aggressive.
Yeah, another thing I like about this is the fact that it's like an optional end boss, but it also allows you to stave off NG+. So you can do Gehrman without going straight into New Game Plus.
Yeah.
But I mean, given that, its design, it's just really unique. Plus, right, it has this unique life drain mechanic where it will drain all your health.
Except 1 HP or something like that.
Yeah, but it also stops you healing with one of its attacks as well.
Yeah, the little bubbles, the blood that land on you, it stops you using your blood vials.
So if these stack up, it can become a problem.
Yeah, but the cool thing about it though is that although it drains all your HP except one of them, yes, what it allows you to do though is because of Bloodborne's regain mechanic, if you're stacking Rally, which is the HP regain, it means that you can technically take advantage of that. But we don't think the boss fight's going to go on long enough to the point where you're going to have that much difficulty. Yeah. The boss is relatively... It's not as challenging as it could be. Like, we think if this boss was a little bit faster, a little bit tougher, this boss could easily be top 10.
Oh, definitely.
If it was just a little bit tougher.
But given that Moon Presence isn't particularly difficult, that's why it's as low down as it is. But it just makes up on every other
it's still really high up, to be fair.
Yeah.
It's 19.
19 out of 107 is pretty damn good, so...
Yeah.
Moon Presence is just fun. I like everything about it, I just wish it was a bit harder.
Yeah. So, number 20 in our list, and we know you guys, most of you guys disagree completely, but we don't care. It's Blue Smelter Demon.
Now, why is it Blue Smelter Demon? Now, for one, we're putting it low down on the list at 20, simply because, okay, sure, it is a reskin of the Smelter Demon. It does look a little bit different. Actually, I think it looks pretty cool, but the fact is that it has one thing that no other boss...
Hold on. Just before we tell you what that is, let us first tell you the reason why you don't like it. It's because it's a reskin. So, remember when everybody liked Smelter Demon in the core game? And then they brought out better Smelter Demon for the reason he's about to tell you. Why did that make the boss shit? I don't get it. But anyway, continue. The one thing that everybody just somehow blindly looks past about this boss
is the fact that Blue Smelter Demon can delay its fucking attack chains, which makes it so much harder than so many of the other bosses in Dark Souls 2, and frankly, in any of the Souls games, I think every boss should have this on it, because it means that you need to really be paying attention to what you're doing.
You can't dodge for the attack coming at you based on the wind-up length. It's a case of you have to dodge, you need to react to the sword coming at your face, and not any other boss in the game does this, and it's a really good thing to have, especially on a boss like Smelter Demon, where it can keep you on your toes with like its wide swinging attacks, slams, it's even got AoEs and shit like that, as well as the Blue Smelter mixes up its AoEs. It AoEs whenever the fuck it wants, as far as I'm aware.
Yeah.
So...
not only that, I mean, because the Smelter Demon is actually quite tough.
It's a really
got
good
a lot
fight.
of health, a lot of defense, like the other Smelter Demon, which had the highest health and defense, or maybe not health, but definitely has the highest defense of any of the vanilla bosses.
Yeah, especially when you're chipping away at it. Like, we used a crossbow for defense scaling, and yeah, it has some of the highest defense in the game. It's just really good, and Blue Smelter is just an upgrade of Red Smelter, so if you like Red Smelter, then you've got no reason to hate Blue Smelter other than it's a second one, but I mean, that's you hating the ethic, not the boss.
But we think that one mechanic really sets it apart from so many other bosses, and it's a highly important mechanic that we personally feel is like should be used a hell of a lot more.
I hope it's in every single boss in Dark Souls 3.
Yeah.
It's really fun, it keeps you on your
can only
toes.
pray.
It basically means that you never know exactly when the attack's going to come at you based on the wind-up, but like other bosses you can count the wind-up, you can go, okay, 1, 2, 3, roll. You can do that, like how you would roll an AoE and stuff like that. Smelter Demon, blue one anyway, not so much. It's a cool mechanic and we think it's always overlooked, and it's unfortunate it is because it does set the boss apart from every other boss in Dark Souls 2.
Yeah.
And actually from every other boss in Soulsborne. So we do think the Blue Smelter should be this high up on the list.
And that concludes the second part.
Yeah. So let us know what you guys think about the list. Feel free to tell us that we're wrong about Blue Smelter. We just don't care. We're right. In our eyes, we're right. And who else's opinion matters to us?
Other than our own.
Exactly. But yeah, that's it for us, guys. So we'll see you in the next one.